Hello and welcome to the Reviews Brothers. Yes, I am back looking at Doom mods. I love Doom, and one of the reasons are the fact that there are literally thousands of mods out there that completely change the game. For years, these mods were basically just for PC users, so anyone playing Doom on the consoles would have to make do with whatever they got in the box. But that is no longer the case. Since the release of the latest Doom and Doom 2 package a little while ago, which is a must-own for anyone by the way, console Doom players have been able to add mods directly through the main menu as part of its standard features. This is a brilliant new feature and gives console gamers access to a whole world of new levels, enemies, weapons and total conversions. Now, there aren't as many as you can get for the PC, and it can be harder to find the ones that you want specifically, but it's still an awesome way to play Doom in a different way. And that's what I've been doing. So here's a handful of mods available to anyone with Doom on a console that they might want to try. So how about I shut up, you press that subscribe button, and we take a look at some games. First up is Alien Bastards. This is a partial conversion for Doom 2. The story goes that alien bastards have kidnapped Earth's accountants, and we can't have that. So you set out to rescue them and take down the alien scum once and for all. The story isn't meant to be taken seriously, and in case you hadn't noticed, it's all a bit of fun. And much like most of Doom and its mods, you can largely ignore the story anyway. So here you get 10 missions which take you through a variety of space-themed levels. You're not Doom Guy here, instead you're more like Halloween Harry from the classic Apogee games, though I don't know if that's deliberate. Here you have a couple of goals. First of all is to rescue the accountants. Surprisingly, that's actually a requirement here. Most Doom and its mods keep the classic formula of finding keys and just getting to the exit. Now, don't get me wrong, you still have to do that here, but as well as finding the keys to open doors, a lot of them are actually locked and won't open until you've found all the hostages in the certain area, at which point those doors will open. Thankfully, you do get a lot of signs near the doors telling you if there's more to find or not, though they never actually tell you how many are left to find. But once you have got all the hostages, you'll be able to explore the whole level, at which point you will need to find the self-destruct switch to blow up the area that you're in. The levels are a series of alien bases and spaceships, and they're all quite large, and what I like is that although they are reasonably maze-like, they're never overly confusing, and it was pretty obvious where you needed to go most of the time. In fact, the only time I got stuck was actually my own fault because I couldn't find some hostages, and it turned out it was me being impatient, and it turned out what I'd done is run through a teleporter too quickly and hadn't noticed that some other ones had spawned in next to me. As you know, for Doom, there are lots of enemies to fight, and the mod does get tricky pretty quickly. All the enemies here are reskins of either regular Doom 2 enemies, or there's some from Duke Nukem 3D, and I really like the variety. There's regular alien soldiers and scientists, and these are reskins of the zombie men, and there's reskinned imps and demons that have their usual attacks but with a different look, and the chain gun zombies now have green skin and are still a pain in the ass. Then you also get the revenants and archviles, who are also a pain in the ass. They have their regular look and attack, but just with some colour changes. But then there are a few new enemies, which seem to be reskins from the Duke Nukem 3D game. There's flying jetpack aliens, as well as arachnotron looking things that instead of having robo legs could now either fly, looking a bit like Krang actually, or some of them ride in mini tanks. And your weapons are all new as well. Well, I say new, they're reskins, so basically play the same as the regular ones. You start with a laser pistol, you get a shotgun, a double barrel shotgun, which is a strange yellow thing that works the same. There's a rocket launcher, which also works the same, and then there's the biggest change, which is the plasma gun, which now shoots fire. But they all do their job, and the mod is generous enough with health and ammo kits to make it challenging but fair. It looks good, I mean it's Doom, but the reskins are detailed and every frame of animation is accounted for, and it's nice to see so many new monsters. The levels are also well designed and fun to play without being frustrating to navigate. I thought this might have been a bit of a crappy one thanks to the kind of dodgy logo, but it's actually a really solid mod that I do recommend. Let's stick with aliens for the next mod, and it's called Ancient Aliens. This is a huge 32 level map pack that goes over 4 chapters and takes you through some really challenging stages. What's cool is that the mod is loosely based on the Ancient Aliens TV show that talks about conspiracy theories to do with aliens. And when I say loosely based, I really mean it's a bit of a parody, just using some of the sage theming. Throughout the 32 levels, you'll see yourself going through all sorts of locales. You start in what makes me think of Native American settings, and you take part in some pipe smoking, which teleports you to a strange place filled with demons. Later levels see you aboard what appears to be a spaceship. You find ruined temples, outdoor landing sites, alien forests, alien worlds, and more. The variety here is great, and the levels range from small, action-packed ones that you can beat in just a few minutes, to larger, more open-world stages that will really test your key hunting and secret-finding abilities. I did find that with some of the stages, I was running around in circles a lot, trying to find a switch to open a door, or more often, to find out what the hell the switch I just pressed actually opened. It was a pain at times, but I managed to get through. I did find that the stage variety really kept me playing though, as I wanted to see where I was going to be teleported to next. And while it all mixed up, some of the levels were a little bit samey, but they do fun things like one stage having an arachnotron in the middle of it, but you can't kill it, so you've got to keep moving so it doesn't blast you dead. And actually, you can kill it, but if you do, another one will immediately spawn in, so don't waste your ammo. There are 2 new enemies introduced here, which, I'll be honest, I was a little bit disappointed by. I thought there would have been more. There is a new demon type, though I don't remember seeing it to be honest. You also get some alien soldier people. These guys have cloaking devices and can make themselves invisible, and they have plasma guns that do massive damage. Big groups of these can be a pain, but thankfully they don't take many hits to put down. Other than that though, all the other enemies are the same. The Mancubus and Arachnotron do use slightly different sprites, more closely to the N64 Doom game, but they aren't different in any other way. Likewise, there's no new weapons, and I was kinda hoping that there would be. The only real difference that I noticed was that the plasma gun used a different sound. But still, none of this is a problem. You're really getting a lot of great content here. While some of the maps are a bit annoying to get around, most of them are great, and really I only suggest playing mods after you've beaten the actual main games, so by then you're pretty familiar with key hunting and secret finding anyway. This is a great map pack and well worth playing. From aliens to cowboys now with Hell in Ghostrock. This is a single level mod that turns Doomguy into a Wild West gunslinger. There is a story if you want it. Basically, you go to your local town to do some shopping, but when you get there, everyone turns out to be hostile, so you've got to fight your way out. It's simple, but that's all it needs to be. It's got some really nice touches here, like at the start of the level you can see your wagon and horses that you rode in on. And there's wanted posters with your face all over it, and I wonder why. What did you do? Unsurprisingly, the level has a great look to it, and the western theme is done really well. I've played a few western themed stages for Doom, and this one does well to stand out. There's saloons, a bank, and plenty of cactuses to run around. You get a few enemies here, all of which have had a western makeover. The regular zombie men are now outlaws, and they make up most of the enemies you will see. There's also a couple of imps, a mancubus, and some cacodemons. These haven't really changed, except they're all wearing cowboy hats, and you know what? I kinda like it. They look great with the hats, and I would like to make that an option in Doom the Dark Ages, or just make the next one Doom the Western Age. Then you get an Archvile. He's basically the same, but instead of fire, he attacks you with the wind. And then there's the Barons of Hell which appear, and they've been reskinned to be buff cowmen, and I love the design. They look great. The weapons have changed slightly as well, though there's not too many of them. You get a 6-shooter as your starting pistol, complete with 60s western sound effects. The shotgun and super shotgun haven't changed, apart from the sound being used for the regular shotgun also being from movies. Instead of a chain gun, you will dual-wield pistols, and they're good fun to use, and the rocket launcher has been replaced with an actual cannon that you carry around with you. And it looks great, but it just works the same as a regular rocket launcher, though that's fine. The level itself is well designed and easy to get around. It won't take you long to beat. I finished it in under 10 minutes on my first try, and that did include dying a few times. Now, unfortunately, I did actually think there was going to be more levels, but when I finished that one, it just took me out to the regular second level of Doom 2. But all the enemies were still cowboys, so you could play through the whole of the game with the new weapons and enemies if you wanted to. In fact, I probably should have played a few more levels to check if the other enemies had changed. Silly boy. So yeah, this is only a single, quite short level, but it's very well made, and I had a really good time playing it. Here is Eviternity. This is another mega WOD that has 32 brand new levels. I didn't really see a story here, but from the looks of things, you're coming through some form of astral teleporter and exploring a bunch of levels that take place on the way to some heavenly realm, with the final boss being something kind of angelic. No spoilers. So you make your way through dozens of levels, which take you through a nice selection of temples, holy grounds, cave systems, gardens, ancient libraries, and other buildings, and so on. The levels here have a really distinct style throughout, but still manage to be quite unique, which is nice. The actual gameplay here is your classic Doom. You need to explore the maze-like levels, hunt for keys and switches that let you access new areas, and eventually get to the exit. Every level has a load of enemies on it, and while recommended, killing them is of course optional. In terms of new content, there's not really anything, which is a shame. Of course, there are 32 maps, which will take you a long time to get through, but there's no new weapons. The only slight change here is the starting pistol, which now has a much faster firing rate and is always pinpoint accurate, so as long as you're always pointing at your enemy, you'll always hit. None of the other weapons have changed or been reskinned, and similarly for the enemies, they're mostly the same, though there are a couple of new additions. There's a Nightmare Demon, a green demon with red eyes that is much more dangerous than the regular demon. They're faster, do more damage, and have more hit points. You'll need 2 or 3 direct rocket hits to take these bastards down. Then there's the Former Captain, which is a reskin of the chain gun zombie that does more damage and takes more too. Then there's the Astral Kicker Demon, which I really like the look of. It's a grey or silver reskin that moves erratically and attacks more like a Mancubus. And then there's the Annihilator, which is a really cool reworking of the Baron of Hell. They've got a rocket launcher for one arm and a chain gun for the other. As you can imagine, these guys are not to be messed with, especially if you're not near any cover. And then there's the final boss, which I won't spoil, partly because I haven't actually got to it yet. I'm only a couple of levels away though. But yes, you do get a lot of levels here, and as you might have guessed when you have this many, they can be a mixed bag. Most of them are quite large and you'll be looking for the keys, etc. Some are more action focused and can be beaten quite quickly, but there were a few occasions where I actually got really stuck trying to find a key or a switch, and I will have to admit I did resort to cheats a couple of times as I was spending way longer than I wanted to figure out how to get a wall to lower. And that was one of the first few levels. However, most stages didn't give me too much of a problem. They weren't easy, but not so cryptic that I had to give up. Something else I really like here is that it doesn't resort to the fake difficulty like quite a lot of mods do. Often, to make it harder, levels will just spawn in a bunch of revenants, chain gunners and arch vials, but that doesn't happen here. Well, it does, but the few times I came across it, it felt like part of the level design rather than just being a cheap way to kill you. And really, that's all there is to say about this one. It is a great set of levels that will take you a while to get through. Oh, and it has great music. I'm sure the first stage uses a MIDI version of the Command & Conquer track from the first level as well. Definitely give this one a go. Let's get festive now, as it's nearly that time of year as of the making of this video. This is Christmas Carol. The story here is very festive. Snow is falling, carolers are caroling, and Cyberneser Scrooge has frozen time to stop Santa from delivering anyone's Christmas presents. Bastard. This sounds like a job for Doom Guy, right? Well, to be honest, you're just not feeling the Christmas spirit this year. Though you haven't looked at the Christmas cards that you've been given yet, so maybe that'll give you some cheering up. So the game starts off you exploring your house, which is essentially acting as your hub world. As you explore it, you'll find Christmas cards dotted around, which you'll need to read. These will then teleport you to the various levels. Technically, there's 25 levels here, but really there's only 12, with half a dozen of the stages being a mini level where you're just reading what the card says, so they don't really count. And the actual levels are very fun to play through, with a cool winter vibe and plenty of Christmas stuff in them, like trees, snow, presents, and of course, great music. The maps here do go for the classic Doom fare, find keys and switches, you know the drill. However, they did do something that really stumped me at first. There's times where you'll see bells in the levels. If you do spot them, make sure you shoot them, as you need to do this to open some doors. It took me a really long time to figure that out. You do get some new enemies in this mod. There's little elves, who are right little bastards to fight. Thankfully they're weak, and surprisingly don't appear as often as I expected. Cacodemons and pain elementals have been turned into Christmas baubles, which I thought was a really nice touch. Barons of Hell and Hell Knights have been given a Christmas colour palette and are now green and white, and you even fight some evil Santas. The rest of the enemies have had a slight colour change and even some Christmas hats thrown on them, but other than that, they're mostly the same. You get a few changes to the weapons as well, but only cosmetic. The shotgun has a nice Christmas bow, and the double barrel shotgun is covered in snow, though other than that, they're all basically the same, other than your melee weapon now being a candy cane, and the plasma gun fires ice shots. The levels here are a bit of a mixed bag. I do think they all look great, but I found that I was getting stuck on them quite a lot. They're quite puzzle heavy in terms of how you navigate them, and I'd often get stuck in a small room and not be able to figure out how the hell to get out of it for the life of me. Now I know that is on me, but it was kind of annoying most of the time. I did have to do some no clipping to get through some of the walls. I know I could have probably been more patient and figured them out, but I really did use cheats as a last resort. It's also annoying when I kind of want to record footage. I don't want to just spend 20 minutes stuck in one room. But I still enjoyed the levels. There's something kind of nice about the Christmas theme, and the mod uses a selection of MIDI Christmas tracks, some from other games and others are just renditions of recognisable songs, like Driving Home for Christmas. So yeah, if you want to get in the festive mood while murdering demons, this is one for you. And finally for today, here is Pirate Doom 2, the sequel to Pirate Doom, which I covered in a previous Doom mods video. There's not really much in the way of story, other than you're a pirate doing pirate things, with Doom monsters thrown into the mix. Though having said that, you can kind of follow a narrative through the order of the levels, which are really great and a fantastic mix of small, medium and large stages, all filled with enemies, treasure and most importantly, grog. You start in a boat port where you're either stealing a boat or possibly taking it back after it was stolen from you. It's hard to say. Then you sail your boat to various islands where you hunt for treasure, ransack enemy forts and plunder villages. At one point you're even swallowed by a whale and have to fight your way out. You find ghost ships, underwater bases and eventually fight a very familiar face, though I'm not going to spoil that. This is another one with a massive 32 levels, and honestly I can't think of a single one that I didn't like. Sure, there were some that were better than others, but I really liked how they were ordered and laid out. The fact that most of them are medium-sized really helps, and what's cool here is that a lot of them are island-based. They're really nicely contained and actually have some verticality to them, rather than being wide open spaces, though there are a few of those thrown in as well. In terms of new stuff, most of it has had a reskin. Pretty much every bad guy has a pirate version now, which is pretty cool. Demons have trousers and eye patches, imps have hats and bows, and revenants are fire homing parrots at you now, rather than rockets, which is a really nice touch. But in terms of behaviour, there's nothing really new. Now there are some new enemies, like the tribesmen that you meet later on, and the final boss that again, I'm not going to spoil. Similarly with the weapons, there's a cool selection that have been piratified. You start with a flintlock pistol, and you get a rifle, a blunderbuss, a really cool looking minigun, and there's a rocket launcher which is now of course a cannon. Then you get the grog shooting weapons that basically replace the plasma gun, and your BFG here is a bomb imbued with grog, which if you don't know is a potent pirate drink. The weapons do all play just like they did in the regular Doom, which means that they're fun to use, and there's just something so appealing about the pirate aesthetic. The original Pirate Doom is one of my favourite mods, and this one really keeps that high standard. I was a little worried at first that the stages didn't seem quite as interesting, but after a few they do get a little more wacky, and by the end you'll have seen some crazy shiz, and it is great and really makes you want to keep playing. This is another one I highly recommend. So there you go, a bunch of mods that you can play on your console of choice. Of course these are also available for the PC, but I'm playing them on the PlayStation 5 here, and so I don't have any links for you, I'm afraid. I'm sure you're a smart person though and can go away and use Google to find them. And as always, keep suggesting more mods for me. I love Doom and its crazy mods, so I want to know the best ones to play, whether that's on the PC or the console. I've just about every version of Doom ever released, so playing them shouldn't be too much of a problem. On screen now, you can see where you can follow me, so why not do so? I've got loads of great content for everyone to enjoy. And now, all that's left for me to say is thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.